right. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for tuning in for this special episode of Top 5 with MovieByte. I'm your host, Ruben, and while we are taking a summer break, I'm going to be posting up these little short videos, 15-20 minutes, sharing my top 5 of my favorite directors, actors, just to, share the knowledge with all of you guys. Feel free to chime in, let me know your top 5 while we start talking about my choices. If you have any questions for me, go right ahead. If you got any questions for the Russian, write them down. I'll make sure to let them know. So let's get going. So today we're going to be talking about one of my favorite directors. That's Martin Scorsese, award-winning award-winning director. Won best picture for The Departed. I think won best director as well for The Departed. He has been nominated a lot of times, a great number of times. And he has a very particular style when it comes to filming, and one of my favorite genres from him is every mob movie that he does. So without further notice, let's introduce everybody to Mr. Martin Scorsese right there. He's very known for working with Leonardo DiCaprio, Joe Pesci in the 90s, Robert De Niro as well. He's done a number, about 8 films with Robert De Niro. The latest one was The Irishman, that premiered on Netflix about 2 years ago, starring Al Pacino. Brought back Joe Pesci from retirement. And it was a really good movie. It's based on the book that's called I Heard You Paint Houses, which is based on the life of Frank, the Irishman, who was a hitman, and pretty much points out that he was pretty much involved in the disappearing of the famous mobster Jimmy Hoffa. Jojo, yeah, Shutter Island, yeah, that's a really good movie for me. Unfortunately, it did not make my top 5. But it's a very good movie. I got nothing bad to say, but it's not my top 5 from him. So let's start with my top 5. I do have some honorable mentions that I'm going to put out there before we wrap up with the number 1. So in number 5 for me, it's The Aviator, starring Leonardo DiCaprio, right? We got him. He plays Howard Hughes in this film. Howard Hughes, for those who know, he was a very famous director in the 1930s, very rich as well. He pretty much also designed and created planes. He was in a dispute at that time with Pan Am, because they were trying to have a monopoly over the air routes, and Howard Hughes was like one of the founders of TWA. So the movie pretty much plays out his life as a director, filmmaker, and into aviation, nicknamed The Aviator, and then his hassle with when he was pretty much in court because of the whole Pan Am taking control over all the air routes and not giving TWA. This movie was nominated for, I got the information right here, is nominated for 11 awards, including Best Picture, Best Director, Best Original Screenplay, Best Actor for Leonardo DiCaprio, and Best Supporting Actor for Alda, and it won 5 out of those 11. It won Best Cinematography, Film Editing, Costume Design, Art Direction, and Best Supporting Actress to the wonderful Cate Blanchett, who played the amazing Katharine Hepburn in that movie. So we got Cate Blanchett right there to your left and Katharine Hepburn to your right. Cate Blanchett is the scene stealer in this entire movie. Okay, every scene that she has with Leo DiCaprio, she just knocks it out of the park. I'm glad you do, Pablo. Louis, thanks for joining. Top 3 of yours. Good. Top 3. I'm curious to see what your other choices are besides Zoe, but we'll get to that. So Cate Blanchett won Best Supporting Actress. She's an amazing actress. If you guys haven't seen her, she's done a million work. She's been in the Lord of the Rings trilogies. She was in Thor Ragnarok. She's done a lot of things. But playing Katharine Hepburn was spot on for her. Among other people that it's in this movie, we got Kate Beckinsale, John C. Reilly, Willem Dafoe, Alec Baldwin, Jude Law. This whole movie is filled with A-list actors. It's an amazing story. The movie runs almost at 3 hours, but it's an interesting piece. And I'm a big Leonardo DiCaprio fan, and this is one of my top favorite films of him, besides being from Martin Scorsese. Leo DiCaprio has worked with Scorsese since Gangs of New York. After that, he worked Shutter Island, The Aviator, The Departed, The Wolf of Wall Street, and then now they're currently working on an Apple TV movie that's called, I think it's called Murders of Flowers of the Moon or something like that. That's based on a book, and DiCaprio's pretty much reunited with Martin Scorsese. All right, so back to my number 4, and I had to give a lot of thought to this because, I mean, again, Scorsese has a lot of projects, and it's not very easy to pick. But I have to go for my number 4. Again, it's one of my favorite genres when it comes to movies, Casino. Casino, starring Robert De Niro, Sharon Stone, and Mr. Joe Pesci, right? For those of you who don't know, Casino is based on actual events, with names of the characters changed, obviously, for dramatic purposes and to keep them protected. But pretty much Casino gives you an inside look of what it was, a casino in the Vegas Strip run by the mob. We got De Niro playing Sam Ace Rothstein, right? Who's a Jewish American gambling expert, who was a made man, had connections with the mob. Sharon Stone plays his wife, who used to be a former go-go dancer in Vegas. And then Joe Pesci pretty much kind of plays De Niro's right-hand man. Again, this movie is from 1995. It was nominated for Best Picture. Sharon Stone got a nomination for Best Actress. Unfortunately, she did not win. But this movie, again, like every Scorsese film out there, it's filled with A-list actors. We're talking about John Renkles, rest in peace, Kevin Pollak, James Wood. It just gives you an inside look of what it was Vegas in the 1970s. A lot of casinos in Vegas were run by mobsters because it was a point of laundering money and everything like that. And it's a very interesting story. It's amazing to see Scorsese drive this story and gives you that that look at the casino. Killers of the Flower Moon. Thank you. That is the movie that should be premiering in Apple TV as an original film later this year, and it's currently in production. Thank you so much for that. But yeah, Casino. This movie, it's just filled. And again, this is Joe Pesci in this movie was, again, in his prime. He came off from winning an Oscar with Goodfellas, which is a movie I'm going to talk about pretty shortly. And he is just magnificent. And for those who don't know Joe Pesci was one of the wet bandits in the Home Alone movies, okay? He was my cousin Vinny, all right? So Joe Pesci has a very long range of acting. He can do serious roles, he can do comedies, he's good. And he retired after a few years, after in the 2000s he retired, and then he only came back to film The Irishman for Scorsese as a favor to Scorsese and De Niro himself, because he pretty much owes a career to Scorsese. So, got your top 5: Gangs of New York, Casino, Taxi Driver, Raging Bull, and Goodfellas. Good choices, my man. Good choices. Raging Bull, I own that movie. It's a great Robert De Niro performance, and Joe Pesci again is in that movie, and it's really good. And Taxi Driver, and again, it's just so difficult to pick a top 5 when it comes to Martin Scorsese. De Niro, every movie that De Niro did with Scorsese is just, I think he got nominated most of them. He surely knows. And also, fun fact, Scorsese was a producer for The Joker, starring Joaquin Phoenix. He was one of the executive producers. So that way, if you guys, whoever saw Joker, or have seen any of our episodes, the character of Robert De Niro in that movie gives you off kind of like a King of Comedy vibe, which is another Scorsese film from the early 80s. All right, so moving to my number 3. All right, give me a second. I'm still getting familiar with StreamYards here, running this on my own, so thank you all for your patience. In the meantime, while I figure this out, if you guys got any questions, you want to say your top 5, go right ahead. I'm listening, I'm watching. Let's take a moment. You got any questions you want to ask me, or I can relay to my buddy the Russian who is taking a break? Just let me know. So my number 3 is going to be The Wolf of Wall Street. The story of Mr. Jordan Belfort. Pretty much a stock trader that pretty much started his career by selling penny stocks. And pretty much launched one. He pretty much got embezzlement and everything, and ended up in jail. Like, this guy was everything. He was everything. They didn't call him the Wolf of Wall Street for no reason. Again, another great film, directed by Scorsese, written by Terrence Winter, based on the true story. Starring Leonardo DiCaprio. You got it right there, Leo, and Miss Margot Robbie, who pretty much launched her career after this movie. She went on to star as Suicide Squad and other movies as well after that. And Mr. Jonah Hill with his fake dentures for his character. Again, like another Scorsese film filled with a lot of good actors, but I think Leo, Margot, and Jonah Hill pretty much steal every scene that they're in. This movie was nominated for 5 Academy Awards, including Best Picture, Best Director, Best Adapted Screenplay, Best Actor, Best Supporting Actor. So, again, one of the many nominations that DiCaprio got that, unfortunately, he did not win that year. Even Jonah Hill got a nomination. DiCaprio did win Best Actor at the Golden Globes, and everybody thought he was going to actually have a shot to win this one. It only took him another 2 years to win an Oscar for The Revenant. He finally won his first Oscar after being nominated about 5-6 times. Another great movie. It's this one's a little bit different than what you may be used to seeing from Scorsese, because it's more of a black comedy versus like a mob or a drama. It's a movie that it's real. What you're seeing in a way happen. But it's also kind of like entertaining to watch, and it also clocks almost 3 hours, and it's a movie that's driven by performances. Watching DiCaprio be Jordan Belfort he's an A-list actor for many reasons, award-winning actor for many reasons. So, The Wolf of Wall Street pretty much falls number 3 on my list, for those reasons. The plot of what, Wolf of Wall Street? You're talking about Margot Robbie, Jesse? Good movie, not my favorite. Okay, all right. Everybody's entitled to their opinions. Pablo, I'm really curious to see your other. Did you mention your other top 3? You said The Aviator was your top 3. So what are the other 2? I would like to know the Russian's top 5, since this is a very interesting topic. So I'll communicate that info to him to see if he gets back to me. If he's watching and he can just let me know, that'll be great too. But I'll get back to you on that one. I know that whenever I was showing him my list, he saw that I had The Aviator as my number 5, and he immediately said, horrible movie, trash. So obviously The Aviator is not one of his top choice. But I'll get back to you on that one. I'll see if I can get that list from him. All right. So number 2, we said the Wolf of Wall Street was number 2. Number 2, and I think a lot of people are going to probably backlash me at it or come at me, but number 2, I got The Departed. Again, starring Leonardo DiCaprio, Matt Damon, Jack Nicholson, and Mark Wahlberg in a very supporting role. This movie for those who don't know, was actually a remake of a Hong Kong film from 2002 called Infernal Affairs. And then they just kind of like tied it into the real life Boston Winter Hill Gang. And then the character of Colin Sullivan is based on corrupt FBI agent John Connolly. And the character of Frank Costello, who was played by Jack Nicholson, is loosely based on Irish American gangster Whitey Bulger, who pretty much got arrested a couple of years ago, but he was one of the FBI's most wanted men because he was very slippery, very, very slippery. But again, The Departed takes place in Boston. And pretty much it's about, everybody in this movie has a mole somewhere. So we got Leonardo DiCaprio again, for which he did not get nominated for this role, but he is playing an undercover agent that has infiltrated the Irish mob gang. And then the Irish mob has a mole in the FBI who is portrayed by Matt Damon. So we kind of got this cat and mouse game going on with The Departed. On the other side, we have Alec Baldwin and Mark Wahlberg, who play the FBI agents or that are pretty much involved in this case. And then Michael Sheen is also involved in this movie. Martin Sheen, not Michael Sheen. Martin Sheen. But then, again, this movie went to win 4 Oscars: Best Picture, Best Director, Best Adapted Screenplay. And it also had a Mark Wahlberg's nomination for Best Supporting Actor. It's a very good movie. It's filled with lots of plot twists in a sense. Let's see. Fun fact about Wolf of Wall Street: it held the record for usage of the word fuck. You are absolutely correct. It is the movie that has the most usage of that word. The Departed, I'm assuming, is your other top 3. The Departed was a very good movie, full of twists, turns, and it's an honorable mention in my honest opinion. This list was not easy to do. It's not, Louis, thanks you so much. Easily the best performance in the movie. When you say best performance, Pablo, who are you referring to? Are you talking about Matt Damon, Leonardo DiCaprio, or Wahlberg? Because Wahlberg, everybody knows Mark Wahlberg has a very short list of movies that he's actually good. Other than that, he plays himself in most of the other movies. Just to sidetrack a little, Mark Wahlberg. Another movie that I like from Mark Wahlberg that's very different, not from his work that he's done lately. It's Boogie Nights, where he plays a male porn star that's loosely based on a true story. So you're saying yes. So I'm assuming you're referring to Mark Wahlberg. Oh, you're talking about Leo. Gotcha, Leo. Easily the best. You think Leo's the best performance in this movie? It's kind of difficult. I think this movie is very. Every actor has a good collaboration in it, and it's very hard to say that one actor carries the whole film, because I think everybody has their fair share of the screen, and everybody knows how to carry the story. But I'll give it to you for now. All right. So before I go into my number 1. I got some honorable mentions. So my first honorable mention of Martin Scorsese films, and a lot of you already have mentioned this among your comments. Gangs of New York, 10 Academy Award nomination, including Best Picture, starring again DiCaprio, Daniel Day-Lewis, and Cameron Diaz. Probably the only Cameron Diaz film that she's done that she can be taken seriously. And then obviously it has the magnificent Daniel Day-Lewis, who is very selective with his work, and whenever he makes a movie, it's because he's into it. He's a method actor. He never breaks character on set. And I gotta say that Daniel Day-Lewis in this film, he got nominated, did not win, but playing, if I'm not mistaken, I think it was the Butcher. I forgot the first name. If anybody can remind me, I can look it up really quick too. Gangs of New York was okay, And that's why it's an honorable mention for me. It has its moments, and again, it's more about Daniel Day-Lewis being in this picture than anything else, because even DiCaprio that year was coming off also from Catch Me If You Can, which I find to be a better movie than Gangs of New York, and it's also probably my number one favorite film of Leonardo DiCaprio will be Catch Me If You Can with Tom Hanks. So that's why it's an honorable mention for me when it comes to Martin Scorsese films. All right, so another honorable mention before I go to my number one is where is it? There it is. Taxi Driver, starring Robert De Niro, introducing a very young Jodie Foster, Harvey Keitel. Liam Neeson was there too. He was in the opening scene. It was more like I don't think he actually got credit for this. He's more of like a cameo, but he was in this movie. If I'm not mistaken, I think John C. Reilly was also in this movie. I could be wrong. I have to look it up. Shame on me for not doing my homework. Anyways, so Taxi Driver, starring Robert De Niro, William Bill the Butcher Cutting. There you go. Thank you. I wanted to say Bill. I was gonna say Billy the Butcher, but I just remembered that's a character from the movie, from the show The Boy. So I didn't want to say the wrong name. So thank you so much, Lewis, for telling me that the real name, William Bill the Butcher Cutting. Top 5. We got classic. Yes, he was. Yeah, we were talking all about Liam Neeson. So back to Taxi Driver. Very solid film. It's one of Scorsese's first work. It's pretty much De Niro was coming off from his work in The Godfather Part 2. And he's the whole thing in the movie. Like him, playing a taxi driver that has it's pretty much acting as a sociopath as well at the same time. And this is where the famous "Are you talking to me?" line comes from that everybody portrays. It's a good movie. It's very hard to swallow, in my honest opinion. The themes that are touched in this movie are hard to swallow in a sense. For those who have seen it, for those who haven't seen it, I would totally recommend it. It's worth watching. It has a very young Jodie Foster, probably in her first film. She plays a 15-year-old prostitute, and Harvey Keitel, who we all know from movies from Reservoir Dogs or the National Treasure movies, which we did Reservoir Dogs for MovieByte. So Jodie Foster does pretty well, and Harvey Keitel, obviously he's a veteran actor. He does really good. So those are my honorable mentions when it comes to Mr. Martin Scorsese's work. And now my number one film. I've loved this film. I've seen it so many times. It's the one film that really got me into the mobster genre. I actually saw this film first before I actually saw any Godfather movie. And just to be fair, before you start judging me, I saw Godfather when I was about 12 years old. But I saw Goodfellas way before that. And this is when I was starting to get into movies, and I was starting to discover all these directors. So my number one film from Mr. Martin Scorsese, it's got to be Goodfellas. From 1990, starring Ray Liotta, Robert De Niro, and Joe Pesci. Originally, this movie was going to be called Wise Guys. As the same title as the book that it's based on. Pretty much it narrates the rise and fall of mob associate Henry Hill and his friend from 1955 to 1980. Again, this is where Scorsese thrives good, is doing mobster movies, and the fact that you get Italian-American descendancy actors to play mobster makes it even better, because you got Ray Liotta, you got Mr. De Niro himself, and Joe Pesci, for which I mentioned won a supporting actor award. One of the best lines in this movie from Joe Pesci himself is the one where he starts "You think I'm funny?" and he starts going into Mr. Ray Liotta, and then turns out it's a joke. That's an amazing scene. You should definitely check out Goodfellas. It was nominated nominated for 6 Academy Awards, including Best Picture and Best Director, And again, it's amazing that it took until The Departed, which was released in 2006, for Martin Scorsese to finally win Best Director and Best Movie, because he has an amazing track record when it comes to movies, and it's just mind blowing. Obviously, probably there was a lot of competition during that era, but it's just still like Goodfellas it's named one of the best films like in that genre. In fact, it's widely regarded as one of the greatest films ever made, especially in the gangster genre. In 2000, it was deemed culturally, historically, and aesthetically significant. It was selected for preservation in the National Film Registry by the United States Library of Congress. Okay, its contents and style have been emulated in numerous other films and television series. So a lot of TV shows or movies have taken Goodfellas as an inspiration. And it's just probably the best movie out there when it comes to gangster films, not taking anything away from Mario Puzo's The Godfather and The Godfather Part 2. Obviously, Godfather Part 3 doesn't exist unless you've seen Dakota, which was remastered and edited by Mr. Francis Ford Coppola. But after the Goodfellas, I would say Godfather Part 2 and then Part 1 are top 3 mobster movies out there. Fun fact about that Joe Pesci scene is that the line was improvised and nobody, including Liotta, knew about it, which means that his expressions were genuine. That is absolutely correct. In this scene, this movie overall, one thing that Scorsese did is that he allowed actors to improvise as much as they wanted, especially with Joe Pesci. And what he did is that he would write down all the improv lines that they would ad-lib that were not scripted, and then he would just rewrite it into the script. So yeah, great fact. Thanks for sharing that. Like, Joe Pesci did indeed improvise that line, and the reaction you're seeing from Liotta in that scene is truly genuine. He did not know what was going on. He didn't even have no clue of what that scene was going to, but that's what makes these actors amazing actors, because they are committed to their work. They're not going to break character. They're not going to break a scene because you're getting out of the script, And this is why, I respect this movie so much, and I respect Martin Scorsese a lot. So that's it. That's my top 5 right there. We got, for a refresher for anybody that joined, so number 5, I said The Aviator is my number 5, followed by The Casino, followed by The Wolf of Wall Street, The Departed, and number 1, Goodfellas. Okay, with honorable mentions to Gangs of New York and Taxi Driver. All right, so that's it. That's all I got for you guys this week. Next week, I'm gonna be doing a top 5 of a director that a lot of people think that his movies are trash, but I find them to be very entertaining. So next week, I'm going to do a top 5, and I welcome all of you to join me. I'm going to do a top 5 of Mr. Michael Bay. And for those who know his work, obviously from the Transformer franchise, Bad Boys franchise, he tends to do a lot of explosions. And I'm going to give you my top 5 picks with honorable mentions of Mr. Michael Bay. All right, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for sharing with me these 30 minutes of your life. I'll be doing this for at least weekly episodes until we get back on season 2 of MovieByte podcast with the Russian. And again, follow us on our social media, YouTube page, MovieByte podcast, Twitch, MovieByte podcast, Instagram, Facebook. Like us, subscribe, leave us comments, let us know how we can make everything better. And thank you again. Thank you for all your support. I do this for fun, but having you guys here just means a lot. So thank you, and I'll see you all next week.